Hello, Steve White, Trek Boy 89 for Steve Arts 89. Well, I just did a long video about Star Trek the Motion Picture to celebrate the anniversary, and I forgot to mention the novelizations. Now, as you all know, Gene Roddenberry did the novelization, which is interesting in itself, and this is what I do with my books. If I have them as a PDF, I can't afford to have basically blocks of wood on my shelves. I got too much stuff. So I usually just skin them and keep the art so I can put them in a folio and flip through them and look at them. So this is the pocket books version, which most Americans would be familiar with. This is the Futura version, which is what I grew up with. And this is a later Titan Books version, which is nicer because it's got the black background, which I always think black works good with Star Trek because it feels like you're looking into the void of space, and even if it doesn't have the starfield, it just feels like space. And they also did a really nice version with a starfield on the back. Slightly bigger format book a couple of years ago, like 10 years ago. I meant to buy it. I looked at it so many times in the bookstore. I thought I bought it, and I'm looking around like, I don't have it. I have to go buy it. But I was watching some other things because I was planning a Star Trek marathon. I didn't have the time because I wanted to watch the original series first before the movies, and I couldn't get the original series watched in time to watch Star Trek the Motion Picture on the 7th. And I didn't want to pull it out separately and watch them out of continuity, so I couldn't really celebrate the 45th anniversary with a screening of the film like I planned, because also there's Friday the 13th, so I'm just going to wait for Friday the 13th to pass, and then I can start my Star Trek marathon and watch it at my own pace. I don't have to try and plan it so anything's falling on any dates or ending or whatever. So I didn't get to do that like I planned. I just started watching some of the documentaries and podcasts other people were doing to celebrate Star Trek the Motion Picture. And Rob made some interesting comments, but then he went on The Glorious Treksperts, and I watched that even though I don't like one of the men who were on it because of personal issues, conflict. But they did read through some of the motion picture, and they read through the preface, and I'm like, I don't remember any of that. Now, like I said, I had this version of it as a kid. I had it on my bookshelf forever. I know I read it. I didn't remember Captain Kirk's preface, however it's said. And it's really weird because they make it sound like Captain Kirk allowed Gene Roddenberry to write, his story of his experiences in Star Trek the Motion Picture with V'Ger, and he implied that that they've depicted his adventures before. And it speaks as though it's Captain Kirk talking to the audience from the future for real, and Star Trek is a fictionalization of his adventures. And he describes a totally different Earth and Federation from what we see in Star Trek. And I'm like, what the hell is that? How did that happen? And I didn't remember that. It's like Gene had another science fiction idea for another show, and he tried to force it into the preface as like a real, maybe do a different version of Star Trek, but that version, I don't know what he was planning to do or what he was trying to do, but it's really interesting. Basically what they have is the old humans and the new humans, and it's really, really eerie because when you look at the divide in our society now with people regressing and the MAGA movement and people being anti-science, anti-education, all this stuff, and pro-religion and trying to go backwards. And then we have people trying to be really progressive, aggressively so, and this huge divide, and the middle ground is just disappearing like the middle class is disappearing. And I'm thinking in a few years, someone could do a science fiction show about, us in a few years, and it would look a lot like the Starfleet and future that Gene was depicting in that preface from Captain Kirk in the Star Trek motion picture novel. So I find that really fascinating and interesting. I hear there's other little flourishes from Gene in the novelization, which I want to read, but unfortunately, I have chronic insomnia, which means I have permanent sleep deprivation. So reading a novel is pretty much impossible. If I focus on like a page or a screen for a few minutes without any physical, I'm out. So reading a book or watching a film, I can't do it. Usually if I do reviews all the time, but I'm never sitting down watching the film, concentrating on it. I'm always doing something else, moving around. I have to physically move and do things physically, so I keep conscious to actually watch. So I can't actually sit down and watch a film. That's how bad my insomnia and my sleep deprivation is. So reading the novelization to find all the little differences, I can't do it. I want to do it so bad, but I can't do it. So I'm hoping someone else has done it. I'm going to go looking. I'm hoping there's a audio version, or they'll release an audio version, and I can just listen to that. Because this guy was reading sections. He got to chapter 4 by the time I stopped watching. I don't know if he couldn't, for the time of the video, he couldn't have done the whole book, but he might have just done the parts that are different or interesting. But I don't know. I just wanted talk about the motion picture novelization and that different depiction and that meta element, which I forgot about or wasn't aware of because I read the book when I was a kid and I was focusing on I guess, the real adventure or something. But yeah, that's interesting. So if anyone has any information on that or views on that, please share it. I'm just going to go and try and work all that out. I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of the novelization of Star Trek the Motion Picture and Star Trek the Motion Picture as well as just being the best Star Trek film. The only real Star Trek film because it's a science fiction film. I think it's the best. It's brilliant. It has made more money. No, it's had more people view it than the JJ film, and with inflation eventually, because its inflation is growing more than the JJ, it's eventually going to outgross and have made more money with inflation than the JJ film. So it's the best film, it's the most successful film, the most watched film, and I love it. And I just can't talk about it enough.